have, Cole?
Renfield.
Dr. Stewart, your journal. You left it on the ward.
Ah, thank you. I seem to be terribly preoccupied at the moment with my latest patient and becoming increasingly forgetful. Can you ask 2 male nurses to join me? I'm to visit Mr. Renfield shortly, and as we have little knowledge of where his mind will take him today, I suggest we proceed with every caution.
Certainly, Doctor. I will see to it right away.
The case of Renfield grows even more interesting. For the first week, he was perpetually violent. Then one night, just as the moon rose, he grew quiet and kept murmuring to himself, "Now I can wait. Now I can wait." Once, today, he looked at me with inquisitive eyes, which suddenly softened, and he smiled what I believed to be a genuine smile. It was soothing, somehow, to the feelings to find myself dissociated even in the mind of this poor madman from the others. But all the same, I do not follow his thought. Am I to take it that I have anything in common with him? That we are, as it were, to stand together? Or has he to gain from me some good so stupendous that my well-being is needful to him? Tonight he will not speak. Even the offer of a kitten or even a full-grown cat will not tempt him. After a while I left him. The attendant tells me that he was quiet until just before dawn, and that then he began to get uneasy and at length violent until at last he fell into a paroxysm which exhausted him, so he swooned into a sort of coma. The case of Renfield grows more interesting the more I get to understand the man. He has certain qualities very largely developed: selfishness, secrecy, and purpose. I wish I could get at what is the object of the latter. He seems to have some settled scheme of his own, but what it is I do not yet know. His redeeming quality is of love of animals, though indeed he has such curious turns in it that I sometimes imagine he is only abnormally cruel. Mr. Renfield, how are we today?
I need them. I need to talk to them. You too need to listen to what they say. People should listen more.
Mr. Renfield, by them, you mean the flies you have been catching recently?
They're an odd sort of pet. This I know, but they're mine, and you can't take them away from me. They whisper to me. They know what is about to happen. That's why they come to me, to tell me that the Master is preparing as we speak. He will soon be here and give me life eternal. This fly, does he talk to you, Doctor? Can you understand what he is saying?
I hear nothing, Mr. Renfield. Why don't you help me understand by telling me what he's saying? You have such a quantity of flies that surely the noise of them speaking all at once is the thing preventing you from sleeping. I only say this because the nurses have noticed you spend all the twilight hours looking out of your window at the moon. Is there something out there that calls you? Does the brightness of the moon make you restless?
Even as a doctor, you would never understand or even comprehend. I can smell your fear, Doctor. Do you not want my pet?
I thank you for the gesture, Mr. Renfield, but no.
Then it has let me down, and I have no further use for it. I shall eat it.
This hobby of yours, catching flies, it needs to stop. Do you understand?
May I have 3 days? I shall clear them away. I would like to say goodbye to each individually.
3 days, but no longer. Renfield has turned his mind now to spiders. He keeps feeding them with his flies, and the number of the latter is becoming sensibly diminished, although he has used half his food in attracting more flies from outside to his room.
My spiders are essential to me. They're not becoming as great a nuisance as my flies. You asked me to get rid of the flies, which I did. How can I help it if they return and want to be with me? They are my comfort. I need them.
The flies? or the spiders?
Both. That was good and very wholesome, Doctor. You really should try them sometime. You see, it was life. A strong life. And it gave life to me.
May I ask what it is that you are writing? Am I permitted to see it?
You wouldn't understand its meaning. Only my friends and I know its meaning. I will hold it out to you, but you cannot touch it or take it from me. Now, you must give me your word on that.
These numbers, you appear to have many pages of them. Can you tell me what they mean?
I could, but I won't.
And why not?
The master would be displeased.
You seem to have many single numbers added up in batches, and then the totals added in batches again. Is there significance to this? It reads like an auditor's notebook.
You have seen enough. The master will be displeased if I permit you to see more.
I see. Mr. Renfield, I am leaving for a few days, but shall call in on you upon my return.
As you wish. Time is running out, though. Don't be away for too long. Doctor, how pleased I am to see you. I have a very great favor to ask. A kitten. A nice little sleek, playful kitten that I can play with and teach and feed. And feed. And feed.
But what of your sparrows? Were they not companioning enough for you? You look pale, Mr. Renfield. Have you been eating and sleeping enough?
I sleep some and have eaten well today.
But the nurse has just told me you sent your food back, having not touched it.
Ah, yes, well, I had to eat them. They ate all my flies and spiders, and well, a kitten would be such a comfort to me.
Eat them? Eat what?
By the sparrows, of course.
You ate live sparrows?
After I had broken their necks. So nourishing.
I need to get you to the infirmary. No wonder you have a great pallor.
But what of the kitten?
You need to give me time to think about your request. But would you not prefer a cat than a kitten?
Oh, yes, I would like a cat. I only asked for a kitten lest you should refuse me a cat. No one would refuse me a kitten, would they?
I will see what I can do. It's a strange case, Holmwood. There seems to be no rhyme nor reason for it. One day a perfectly sane, healthy man. But within less than a week of returning from Europe, he became, well, what you see before you.
Have you called in anyone for a second opinion?
Indeed, I have corresponded with several colleagues, two of which I'm hoping will join me later this week.
Disgorged a whole lot of feathers, you say?
Yes, he admitted that he'd eaten his birds. He just took them and ate them whole.
And did he give any reason why?
He said they'd eaten his spiders and flies. He appears to be rebuilding, starting his process again. Flies to spiders, spiders to birds. Who knows where it would end, given the opportunity. I gave Mr. Renfield a strong opiate last night, enough to make even him sleep, and took away his pocketbook to look at it. My homicidal maniac is of a peculiar kind. I shall have to invent a new classification for him, a zoophagous maniac. What he desires is to absorb as many lives as he can, and he has laid himself out to achieve it in a cumulative way. He gave many flies to one spider and many spiders to one bird, and then wanted a cat to eat the many birds. What would have been his later steps?
It is indeed a complicated matter, and one I'm sure you'll rise to the challenge of.
There was a strange and sudden change in Renfield last night.
How so?
At about 8 o'clock, he began to get excited and sniff about as a dog does when setting. The attendant encouraged him to talk. He is usually respectful to the attendant and at times servile, but the man told me he would not condescend to talk with him at all. All he would say was, "I don't want to talk to you. You don't count now. The master is at hand."
And do you have any answers to the cause of these events?
Not at present. The attendant thinks it is some sudden form of religious mania which has seized him. Mr. Renfield, is there something the matter? Is there something bothering you?
I don't want to talk to you. You don't count now. The master is at hand.
Master? Which master would that be? Is it your spiders you speak of?
Bother them all. I don't care a pin about them.
What? You don't mean to tell me you don't care about spiders? But you have a notebook filled with columns of small figures all relating to your spiders.
The bride maidens rejoice the eyes that wait the coming of the bride. But as the bride draws nigh, then the maidens shine not to the eyes that are filled.
I'm not sure that I understand.
But what the? I am here to do your bidding, master. I am your slave, and you will reward me, for I shall be faithful. I have worshipped you long and afar off. Now that you are near, I await your commands, and you will not pass me by, will you, dear master, in your distribution of good things? I shall be patient, master. It is coming. Now I can wait. Please, no! I have served you well!
Mr. Renfield, I came as soon as I heard. The blood! You're beaten! What has happened?
Rats, hundreds, thousands, millions of them, and everyone had life. And dogs to eat them, and cats too. All lives, all red blood with years of life in it, and not merely buzzing flies. I laughed at him, for I wanted to see what he could do. The dogs howled, and beyond the dark trees in his house, he beckoned me to the window. I got up and looked out, and he raised his hands and seemed to call out without using any words. A dark mass spread over the grass, coming on like the shape of a flame of fire. And then he moved the mist to the right and the left, and I could see that there were thousands of rats with their eyes blazing red, like his, only smaller. He held up his hand, and they all stopped, and I thought he seemed to be saying, "All these lives will I give you, and many more and greater through countless ages, if you will fall down and worship me." And then a red cloud, like the color of blood, seemed to close over my eyes. And before I knew what I was doing, I found myself opening the sash and saying to him, "Come in, Lord and Master." I don't care for the pale people. I like them with lots of blood in them. So when he came, I was ready for him. I saw the mist stealing in, and I grabbed it tight. I had heard that madmen have unnatural strength, and as I knew I was mad, at times anyhow, I resolved to use my power. He felt it too, for he had to come out of the mist to struggle with me. I held tight, and I thought I was going to win, till I saw his eyes. They burned into me, and my strength became like water. He slipped through it, and when I tried to cling to him, he raised me up and flung me down again and again. There was a red cloud before me, and a noise like thunder, and the mist seemed to steal away under the door. His words were hollow. I am no more. I am no more.
Rest, Mr. Renfield. It is time for you to rest in peace, you poor, tortured man.
Good night, dear Renfield. Welcome to the night.
This was an Evcol Entertainment production, featuring the voice talent of Richard Cotton. Written, directed and produced by Simon James Collier. Inspired by Bram Stoker's Dracula. Soundscape design by Archie Lyon Maris. Evcol. The Death Bus by Simon James Collier.
You might think this silly of me, but I came up with this device, mental strategy, so to speak. So if I was getting stressed by someone, or something, but
Yes.
it was usually someone, I'd close my eyes and think of my death bus.
Death Bus.
Oh, you're going to think I'm a bit silly. It's nothing. Please forget I ever said anything.
No, not at all. Please, do tell. It might be extremely useful.
Will it give you a window into my soul?
Well, I'm not sure I'd go that far, but self-coping mechanisms are often very personal and can be enlightening in situations we find ourselves in. You coming to me and asking for my help. I think any means by which I can understand you better should be explored. Do you not think?
Well, you are the doctor. You have all the certificates on the wall to prove it. It must have cost an absolute fortune to get all these framed. And you've gone for the cream border mount as well. Very professional.
But why don't you tell me about the Death
I
Bus?
digress, yes, again. Right. My death bus. Well, it's simply this. In my mind, I have an old, traditional, red London double-decker bus with the open door at the back, which you used to be able to hop on and off. Well, all the people who have done me wrong, or have annoyed me that particular week, are given a place on this bus. There is a conductor, of course, who, depending on how irritating I've found the individual who's been given a seat on the bus has been, decides upon where you're placed. You see, at the end of each week, the bus trundles along the dirt track that leads to, let's say, the South Foreland Lighthouse on the White Cliffs of Dover. Oh, I remember looking at the website about the White Cliffs and reading about the lighthouse, and it said, "A guided tour of the lighthouse offers not only a fantastic story, but ends with a spectacular view from the balcony. Step outside with us and see the cliffs stretch out for miles all around you. Get a bird's eye view of St. Margaret's Village and completely uninhibited views across the channel."
Sounds beautiful.
And they weren't wrong. Oh, and the tea shop, simply delicious. I couldn't recommend it highly enough. Mrs. Knott's Tea Room. Indulge in a cream tea or delicious homemade cake, and sit and watch the world's busiest shipping lane go by from the comfort of a picnic bench. So it does seem a bit of a shame that the route of my death bus goes right past these two lovely places. But it needs to, go off a cliff, to be honest. And the White Cliffs are so lovely, but it's only metaphorical, so there's no real environmental damage, is there? And the people, Well, you see, they're glued to their seats. Well, their hands are glued onto the seat rail in front of them. Literally. So if they pull hard, they'll rip off their flesh. Which one or two have done, in my mind, of course. Causing great upset to their fellow passengers and spraying blood everywhere as a couple have nicked their veins, again in my mind, of course. And then the bus goes over the cliff and I'll have a photo taken of their faces. It's a camera, you know, like they have at Alton Towers or Chessington World of Adventures, where they take a photo of you riding the vampire or Ramesses' Revenge, so everyone looks so shocked and frightened. Well, they would, wouldn't they? If they're about to plunge to their deaths. And the seat allocation, oh yes, that well. Those people who have been particularly repugnant are seated towards the rear of the upper deck, so they see all those in front of them smashed to pieces before their turn comes.
I see. You're very specific in your description. You must have thought at great length about this death.
Death bus, yes. Well, it took me a little while to create it, but as I sorted out the details, I became so much calmer. And, of course, people can be re-deathed, so to speak. I mean, they can have a reprieve at the weekend, say, and then if they start being irritating the next week, well, on they pop, back on the bus, ready for another trip over the edge.
So, you say this was a device you created to help you calm your feelings of harming others. If that's the case, then why did you, as you yourself have admitted to me, feel the need to take this one step further and actually kill people?
This was an FCall Entertainment Clockwork Digital Studios original production, a part of the On Another Wavelength audio anthology series. Featuring the voice talents of Samantha Boffin and Mitch Howell. Written, directed and produced by Simon James Collier. Series created and co-produced by Adam Deschanel. Soundscape design, Zachary Elliott Hatton. Engineer, Ben Robbins. Recorded at Umbrella Sound.
FCall.
Confidential Missions. Adapted from the play Madam X by Alexandra Bisson.
My dear Merivale, I believe I have some good news.
Really?
True, my dear friend, true. Listen, it is addressed Café Libertad, Buenos Aires. I shall paraphrase, as it is somewhat long. My reverend preceptor, you will no doubt be surprised to hear from me, especially from this godforsaken place. Have been here for some weeks. Don't see how I am going to live much longer. South America is a great place for government officials and cattle raisers. Cattle thieves, I'm told, do rather well, but none of these lines of occupation are open to me. The people of Latin America have the suspicious nature of all provincials, and most of them chat about their family scandals in the cafes. It is not a fruitful field for a discreet young man with a keen scent. The very wealthy are usually investing in revolutions, and I have no vocation for that form of promoting. All this, my dear teacher, is simply a prelude to the information that I want to get back to France very badly. If you can find something for me to do and want me badly enough to pay my passage, I will take the first ship that sails. Signed, Frederick Leroque. Well, how very interesting.
And this Frederick Larocque?
He is a young man who was a clerk here in my office before we became partners here at Confidential Missions. He displayed a singular aptitude for our work, but youth... Youth. He even once used the word we don't use to describe our profession.
Not blackmail.
Shh. Such an ugly word. Information seekers. Alas, he would not stay with me as I advised. He insisted on going his own way, and I lost sight of him in a short time. I am really surprised that he is not in prison, but it shows that he must have developed as I knew he would. His hardships in the New World probably have had the needed subduing effect, and now he is an instrument made to our hand.
And of his loyalty?
Oh, undoubted. Thoroughly loyal to his friend or employer he always was, I assure you, my dear Merivale, and without fear, absolutely. Oh, it is providential.
Most providential. But you are certain, my dear Robert, that the young man is trustworthy. You remember that Guadin was also fearless.
Oh, quite so, my dear friend. He is the soul of honor. He would not think of attempting anything dishonest with me.
In that case, I think that we would do well to send him the money.
Just what I was going to propose the moment I finished this letter.
I look forward to meeting this young man. Passage from Argentina shouldn't take longer than 5 or so weeks. I suggest we send him 1,000 francs, which will show him of our sincere interest.
Indeed.
Oh, great. It's a marvel. There's nothing you do better than an absinthe. Now light up and let's be happy.
Are we going to be here long?
I don't know. That depends on Perisard. I must have a chat with him before I can say.
Who is Perisard?
I told you, I used to be his clerk. He's a lawyer.
What sort of a man is he?
Oh, he's a clever old devil. He knows the Code Napoleon backwards. When I wrote to him, I thought to myself, well, there's a postage stamp wasted. For Perisard is either retired from business or he's making felt shoes in prison somewhere, unless he's flirting with the dusky native ladies of New Caledonia. But I was wrong. He's not in prison. Says he's glad to hear from me and sends me 1,000 francs to pay for my passage. The old fox certainly needs me for something. He doesn't spend that much money for nothing.
Be careful.
Don't worry. I'll keep my eyes open and... There he is now, I guess. Come in.
My dear Larocque.
Well, how are you, monsieur? By heaven, you've put on some flesh, haven't you?
I put most of that on with my clothes every morning.
Every morning? What on earth for?
Thin people do not inspire confidence. Fat people do. Madame?
My life's companion for the last 6 months.
Let me present Monsieur Merivale, formerly a schoolmaster, but now my friend and associate.
Delighted. Oh, but sit down. And first, let me thank you to begin with.
For the 1,000 francs I sent you.
Yes.
When I received your letter, it struck me that you were not exactly rolling in money.
I wasn't. Exactly.
So, I thought it was well to send you a little on account.
And supposing I'd put the money in my pocket and remained in South America?
I should have lost my 1,000 francs. But I wasn't afraid of that. I knew you too well, Larocque. I knew you to be too
honest?
Too intelligent. To do such a foolish thing. What are the 1,000 francs in the position I am going to offer you?
As good as that, eh?
Ask Monsieur Merivale.
A first-class position.
Sounds interesting.
Gentlemen, I will leave you to your business talk and unpack.
Yes, do.
Now then, to business. To begin with, I am no longer a lawyer.
So I see. According to your card, you are now a notary public.
That's to inspire confidence. Confidence is such a beautiful thing in these days of disrespect. Alas, today respect is rapidly disappearing. The young have ceased to respect the old, and the family solicitor no longer holds the proud position that was his.
By Jove. He talks well, doesn't he?
Like a book. But to resume, I'm in business now.
Oh, what sort of business?
Business of all kinds. I refuse no business.
With money in it.
But we deal principally in the faults, vices, and weakness of our fellow men.
Sounds like a good trade.
And a most moral one, for we do good with the strong hand, you see.
I don't altogether get you.
You shall. There are very few houses without a skeleton in the closet.
Skeletons are cheap today.
And in the best families, there are often secrets which are worth a fortune.
Oh, I see. Blackmail.
My dear young friend, what an ugly word.
We are humble helpers in the cause of justice. Most ugly word.
Find it rather dangerous, don't you?
We do not.
Pays, does it?
You must speak in quieter tones, my young Larocque. One never knows who is listening. Pay. I should think it does. You will very soon find out for yourself how well it pays, for I propose paying you in addition to your salary 10% upon the profits. You won't find it hard work, and you won't find it difficult.
Quickness, discretion, and tact are all that are required. My friend and associate thinks highly of you, and I trust his judgment. You are clearly intelligent and energetic, and I'm sure you are honest, not too scrupulously so at all times, but, you understand.
Scruples are out of date. Are you fond of money? If you are, you shall have the money.
It's a tempting offer, but you know, it has not been many years since I was in trouble, and I don't want any more if I can help it.
What possible trouble can there be?
Well, you know, even a lamb will bleat if you handle him roughly.
Our little lambkins don't. They have a horror of all kinds of fuss, and do not draw attention to themselves if they can help it.
The fear of a fuss is the beginning of wisdom, so there is nothing to be afraid of. Our head office is in Paris, but I have come to Bordeaux to open a branch office of which Monsieur Merivale will be temporary manager. In a little while, when you understand our methods thoroughly, he will go to Marseille and leave you in charge. Then we will double your salary and increase your share of the profits to 15%.
It's a bargain.
Then let us get straight down to business. You must understand, my dear Larocque, that our business is largely with those men who, in public or private life, are a menace to the well-being of society. Imagine the shock, the grief to my colleague and myself when we learned that a very high official of this fair city of France had falsified his accounts to the extent of 1 million francs at least. His name I will disclose to you in due time. You are wondering how so large a peculation can possibly be concealed, and therefore be of value to us.
I will not conceal from you that the man is a power in this part of the country and has many rich and influential friends. He recently threw himself on the mercy of these and appealed to them for help. As they were under obligations of doubtful character, they could not fail to respond.
Fortunately for the cause of civic and national purity, some of them were so indiscreet as to put part of the negotiations into the form of correspondence. A letter or two, quite providentially,
most providentially,
fell into our hands. We made investigations in a quiet way, as was our duty, and have secured what is almost legal proof of the astounding corruption. Now then, since they are so willing to come forward with the full amount of his shortage, they will undoubtedly be only too glad to add 50 or 75,000 francs to the amount to ensure the utmost secrecy. You understand now.
I understand. But if these friends of his can save him any time they choose, what's to prevent them from coming up with the money the moment we approach him?
My dear young sir, you don't quite understand as yet. If we go to the public prosecutor and lay our information in his hands, he will have no way of knowing whether the money has been refunded without an official investigation, which will certainly ruin the gentleman. For even if he escapes prison, the fact that he is guilty of misconduct in office must be brought to light.
I see. It certainly begins to look promising.
Most promising.
I need not impress upon you the necessity for the utmost tact and caution in dealing with this gentleman. You can see that in his position he has powerful official influence, and we must be careful that he does not trip us. He is shrewd, bold, and unscrupulous.
Most unscrupulous.
By the way, you aren't married, are you?
Oh, Lord, no.
That's all right.
Women are charming creatures, but in business.
I was afraid when I saw the lady, and I meant to mention it sooner.
Most charming woman. Aristocratic, good-looking.
I met her at Buenos Aires. She was destitute, picking up a living around a cafe. There's no harm in her, but she's taking a lot of trash, morphine, ether, opium, to help her forget, she says. She's a married woman, you know. Wife of a man in a good position and quite a shining light at the bar.
Really?
Yes. Deputy attorney in Paris, I believe. She was false to him and he turned her out.
Oh dear. Even the morals of our magistrates and leading lawyers are not above suspicion these degenerate days. Was this long ago?
20 years ago. She says she went to England shortly after he turned her out and took up with a painter, I believe. Since then, she's been to America, Colombia, Brazil, all over the place, sometimes rich and sometimes poor. When I met her, she was dying to get back to France and didn't have a centime, so I brought her with me.
Did she tell you the story herself?
Yes. One day when she'd had a little more ether than usual. She's a silent sort of a woman, but when she's been drinking ether, she gets talkative. She won't live long. About worn out.
I have been thinking that if her husband was a deputy attorney in Paris 20 years ago, he may be attorney general now. This might lead to business.
How?
Supposing the husband is now occupying a position worth having, he would be likely to make a sacrifice to prevent scandal about his wife from becoming public property.
Isn't he a wonderful man? Always getting ideas like that. A benefactor of humanity.
Do you know her husband's name?
No, she never told me that.
How old would you take her to be?
Past 40.
He must have been rather young for the position if he was near her age. You are sure she never mentioned his name?
I would have remembered it if she had.
Well, I don't know that it matters. A deputy attorney in Paris whose wife left him 20 years ago ought not to be too difficult to find.
Do you think so?
Mere child's play, my dear boy, and I think that overall, this had better be your first piece of business. Wait, did she ever mention that her own people were wealthy at the time of her marriage?
No, I don't think she ever did. Why? It's the husband we'll have to see anyway. What have her people to do with this?
She must have married young and left her husband shortly afterward. The inference is that he was probably a young lawyer and without a great deal of money. He could not have married her unless she brought the money with her.
Well?
Well then, if he drove her out of the house, she has a good claim to that money. Unless he gave it to her then or later, do you know?
I don't know whether she had a great deal of money, but if she did, I'm certain that she didn't take it away with her.
Excellent.
Most excellent.
Now then, we will stay the hand of punishment temporarily in the matter of this official scoundrel and teach this magistrate or attorney general or whatever he is that he cannot turn his wife out of his house and keep her money.
But I think there is a child, though I'm not certain.
Makes not a difference. The money goes to the child upon the death of its mother, not before. Now, we shall take our leave. I suggest you spend some time with your life companion and find out all you can. We will wait for you at the Café Rouge, and you can enlighten us further, and we can give you final instructions.
I will see what I can do.
Make sure that you do. And try to get a power of attorney from her. Makes things so much easier.
This was an Evcol Entertainment Clockwork Digital Studios original production, a part of the On Another Wavelength audio anthology series, featuring the voice talents of Marcus Churchill, Sarah Flower, Mitch Howell, and J.B. Newman. Adapted from the play Madam X by Alexandra Bisson. Adapted, directed, and produced by Simon James Collier. Series created and co-produced by Adam Deschanel. Soundscape design, Zachary Elliott Hatton. Recorded at Umbrella Sound, London. Engineer, Ben Robbins.
Evcol.
The Lake by Simon James Collier.
Shoot! Go on! Be gone, I said! There, Lizzie. There. 'Tis gone from here now.
You must have shooed his friend, 'cause the damned creature is still perched there looking right at me. Remove yourself from Palace. Take your beak out of my heart and go to hell. You must show no mercy. Be direct. You dare to challenge me in my own home. You dare to engulf me in your black heart. Is it my very soul that you try to imprison? It has been tried before. Better folk than you have challenged me and have borne witness to my wrath. I am not a woman to be toyed with.
Lizzie,
Only a short while ago, you said, just let be what it is.
Indeed.
Well, can't you see that that cannot be so?
I am unsure as to what you mean.
This bird, this ebony creature of the grave will not let things be what they are. It cannot let me be with my thoughts of the one I loved, enjoying cherished moments. No, it comes in the night on the wave of a storm and brings with it such feelings of emptiness and wrenching heartache that by design drive a woman to her wit's end. It is a prophet, a thing of evil, a servant of the devil. It has come to torment me for what I have done. Oh, heavens, what have I done? I tried to take hold of her hand, but the water, it prevented me from securing a grip. Oh, it was such a beautiful afternoon. Bright sunshine. For a moment I thought that neither of us had a care in the world. It was becoming difficult for me to hide what I had discovered. You see, Doctor, I knew her love for me was waning, that she had affections for another. My jealousy was at times uncontrollable. How dare she do this to me? That was all I could think about. What had made things even worse, if they could be, was that this other was in fact my husband, Sir William. How irony rears its ugly head. I had suggested an afternoon on the water. Thought it was romantic, that if I could show her how much I loved her, then she would return to me. I know how foolish that sounds, but when you're in love, your heart will play terrible tricks on your mind. Doctor, I hope my confession does not alarm you. But then, the breeze caught her parasol, and her grasp wasn't enough to hold it. It landed on the water. Only moments earlier it had been so still, like a mirror. You could consider it and see a perfect reflection. But now, with the wind, there were ripples, everything became distorted. She reached for the blessed thing. I scolded her, warned her that she would fall in. I remember her laughing at me, her smiling face mocking my warnings, telling me that I didn't have to worry about her, that she could take care of herself. I remember getting angry with her, angry at her dismissing my concern. Still she mocked. There was a disdain in her voice. I stood suddenly. I remember thinking, you shouldn't be doing this standing in a boat. But I was incensed at her defiance, and my mind was filled with an overwhelming rage. How dare she? It was my sole thought. How dare she? She reached out again for the accoutrement, showing absolute indifference to my words, and in anger and with haste I moved towards her. My moving caused the boat to tip, and within moments we were both thrown. I remember thinking how cool and refreshing the water felt against my skin, but that thought quickly vanished, and my one and only concern was for Leonore. The water was clear for a few feet below the surface, but as it became deeper, there was a dark and murky look and feel. I couldn't see anything. I remember breaking the surface and looking around to see if she was there, but other than the upturned boat and a floating oar, it was empty. I swam around to the other side of the craft and called out her name at the top of my voice again and again, but no answer. But then there was a sound of splashing water, and I could see her behind me fighting desperately to remain afloat. I swam as fast as I could to get to her. She dipped under the surface time after time, but I knew where she was. As I reached her, she was going under again, but I dove down and grabbed her arm. It was difficult to get a firm grip, but I did. At least I thought I did. The water was clear enough for me to see her face. It was so pale, though the very life was being drained from it. With all my strength, I tried to pull her upwards to the surface. She'd been under for a while and clearly needed air. But no matter how hard I tried, she continued to descend into the darkened depths. With one last pull, I tried to save her, but her garments were so filled with water and heavy, I had not the strength to. As she drifted downwards, her arm reached out to mine, and I swear I could see her beautiful face, one that once bore such an infectious smile, turned from a look of radiance to one of anger, her eyes black, her lips tightly pursed. I couldn't save her, I couldn't. Or didn't I try hard enough? No matter what words of comfort and condolence I hear, I fear she will never forgive me for what has happened. I look within myself and wonder if my thoughts were vengeful at that moment, whether I purposely didn't exert every effort to save her, whether I wanted her to die. After all, if I couldn't have her, then nobody could.
I am sure that is not the case, Lizzie.
Take thy beak from out of my heart, and take thy form from my door.
This was an Evcol Entertainment Clockwork Digital Studios original production, a part of the On Another Wavelength audio anthology series, featuring the voice talents of Helen Sterling Lane and Mitch Howell, written by Simon James Collier, inspired by The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe, directed and produced by Simon James Collier. Series created and co-produced by Adam Deschanel. Soundscape design, James Nicholson. Recorded at the Umbrella Rooms, London. Sound engineer, Ben Robbins. The Absent Husband. There is something I need to tell you. My friend, there is no man or woman alive excepting you to whom I could talk as I am going to do now. You were about to defend her just now without question, weren't you? You said that she was most to be pitied. Oh, I know why. You did, of course, know her before she was married. Well, marriage develops people. She had the happiness of a home and the life's happiness of 2 and possibly 3 persons in her hands. And for the sake of vicious intrigue, which she now sees could never bring her anything but misery, she sacrificed her boy and me. Oh, Noelle. And do you know the greatest irony of it all? Is that her misery is of no consolation to me, because I still love her. Oh, the boy must never know that she is alive. Never know what she did. Oh, don't look at me like that. I know that she must have loved me in some way, or why would she have married me? If she wanted position, she could have married men farther up in the world than I was. Than I am now, even. If she wanted money, she could have married a much bigger bank account than mine. Noelle, you can't realize the happiness of my life until I learned that I was a fool. For the first year, I pitied the whole world because it couldn't be as utterly happy as I was. Then our boy was born, and after that it seemed that before I had been miserable by contrast. Such a beautiful little boy. palest powder blue eyes. You know something funny, Noel? Before that time, I thought that I had fully the average man's capacity for work. And then it was doubled. I was in my office early and late, every moment that I could tear myself away from my home. I even worked in my study at night so that I could be near her and our baby. Oh, my boy. My sweet, sweet boy. I had a purpose, Noel. Now it all made sense to me. And it was in that very moment, my friend, that I realized I would do whatever it took, even if it meant working myself down to the very bone. I would do whatever it took to secure my boy's happiness in this world. I had set my eyes on the position I now hold, and I was tireless in my work for it. I was as sure that I would win as I was of the sanctity of my own home. Then came the scandal in the finance department. Now, there was this one truly brilliant young fellow in this lot, of whom you may not have heard, thanks to my efforts. Lascelles. Albert Lascelles. I was certain he was innocent, the victim of circumstantial evidence. None of my associates agreed with me, of course, which made my work then even harder, but I proved my theory to be a sound one. Oh, it was a great triumph for me, Noel, and Lascelles knew it and tried to kill me with gratitude. Oh, forgive me. My friend, the day he was discharged, we were both drunk with excitement, and I insisted that he should come home to dinner with me that evening. Oh, it was indeed a merry dinner the three of us had that night. You know, Lascelles was truly a brilliant young fellow. And you know, I never knew Jacqueline to be wittier or more entertaining. He came to see us quite often after that. He was alone in the world, but I could see that Jacqueline liked him, and that was enough for me. Noel, why don't you pour us another brandy? How was I to suspect anything? You must think me a great fool, Noel. Well, why not? I mean, indeed. I encouraged him to escort Jacqueline to the races and other places of which she had been so fond. My friend, I seldom had time to go with her. But despite this friendship, Jacqueline grew more affectionate to me every day and pleaded with me constantly to go about with her and let my work take care of itself. Noel, I couldn't. I just couldn't. And I showed her time and time again how impossible this notion was. Then Lascelles came and I would tell him to take her somewhere. The guiltier she grew with Lascelles, the more affection she displayed for me to prevent any hint of suspicion. Funny how you realize things. What do they say, Noel? Oh, you know what I'm... That old phrase. What is it? Hindsight is 20/20. Well, then one day I told her that I would be unusually busy, that I would dine at a cafe and would not be home until very late. But, as it happened, when I returned to my office after dinner, I found that there was actually nothing of importance, and so I went home. Forgive me, my friend. It was raining a little, and I remember when I reached the front door, I let myself in without making any noise. I even took off my shoes. You see, we had been so distant, and I wanted to surprise Jacqueline, and... Oh, my friend, God grant that you may never know what I felt when I opened the door of the room where they were and found them.
Together.
I believe the shock unbalanced my mind in the moment that I saw them as I opened the door, for I leaned against the doorpost and stared at them as if paralyzed. And they leapt up. They leapt up and were staring right back at me. And their faces. My mind refused to grasp the horror that my eyes had seen.
Traitress.
I turned away from the door and stumbled down the hall towards my study. It seemed to me that I must kill them. Jacqueline. Why? Harlot and her paramour.
Where is it?
Oh, where is it? It was some time finding my revolver. I came back, but the room was empty. I raced through every room in the house, cursing them at the top of my voice. Not finding them, I ran out into the rain and dashed down the street aimlessly. They fled. Cowards. Jacqueline! Jacqueline! Where are you? Traitress! I don't remember much of the rest of that night. I was only occasionally conscious of the rain on my face. As dawn came, I was in some vile street in Montmartre. And with the daylight came a sort of calm. As I walked through the early morn, it wasn't too long before I reached home. And it was at that very moment decided I would devote the rest of my life to hunt both of them down. For days I walked the streets, visiting the places I knew they both frequented, but to no avail. My friend, I promise you, if I had found them, without hesitation, I would have erased them both. Then, one evening, I was about to venture out again, and I met Florence at the door. She was holding the baby. My boy. She was holding my boy in her arms. Noel, up to that moment, I had not felt the slightest grief. Fury and the lust for vengeance left no room for any other emotion. I remember, for a fraction of a moment, I felt an impulse to kill the baby because it was hers. Oh, Noel. I thought the next moment that I was dying, and oh, God, if it had only been true. For the first time came the realization of what I had lost. But there he was. Oh, those beautiful powder blue eyes, staring up at me. my boy. Finally, I made up my mind that no matter how empty my life might be, I must live for the boy's sake. And with that resolution, I locked up the revolver, burned every letter and photograph of her that I had. Then I came into the world again. Now, my friend, which of us deserves the most pity? This was an FCOL Entertainment production, a part of the Masquerade series of monologues. Featuring the voice talent of Mitch Howell, inspired by Alexandra Bisson, written, directed and produced by Simon James Collier, soundscape design by Archie Lyon Maris.
Evcol.
Mr. Whipster by Simon James Collier.
Right, yes. It was summer, very hot, and there was this ice cream van, Mr. Whipster, grubby van, chap never washed it down. Oh, can you imagine the bacteria inside? It doesn't bear thinking about. Anyway, I noticed this a few times before I, did anything. He'd pass by our house on Tilbury Rise and then stop further up the road by the corner of Halstead Close. He'd turn off the bloody song he always played. I think it was Ring a Ring a Roses, but it was so distorted and crackly that you couldn't make head nor tail of what it was. But anyway, he'd stop there and jump over the fence and cut across Mrs. Hilderson's garden. Well, it was more like a wilderness. Just like Morgan's nose hair.
Stay on track, Mother.
Right, yes. And he'd knock on the back door. There'd be a few seconds wait, and then she'd come out all made up with her lippy on, and they'd sneak back into the shed, just like ours, asbestos walls and all that. And there'd be some grunting and groaning.
Sorry, how could you tell that? I mean, how could you tell what was going on at Mrs. Hilderson's all the way down at number 147?
You stop interrupting.
Right.
Oh, now you've made me lose my place.
Grunting.
Oh, yes, grunting. I'd been watching, you see, through the net curtains, and I'd seen this happen a couple of times, and it piqued my interest. So when I saw his van drive by, I scooted out and went to see what was going on.
They certainly didn't need neighbourhood watch when you were around, did they?
Your father used to call me his little Jack Russell, like the dog. And once I had a scent, there was no stopping me. Oh, I was tenacious. Anyway, back to the ice cream chap and Mrs. Hilderson.
Yes.
Well, I opened the gate as quietly as I could and nipped up the garden path. Her washing were always out. She never took it in. Don't know why she bothered. It was as dirty after she put it out and left it overnight as what it was when she would put it in the machine. Anyway, it provided me with some cover so no folks could see. And I went up to the shed door and I heard them going at it like there was no tomorrow. Oh, it sounded so steamy. Now, your dad, he were very, physical, which were lovely, but my goodness, listening to them, well, I don't know how to describe it. It was either like rutting deer or he was running a marathon. But I digress. It wasn't that which bothered me after all. It was none of my business. No, but a couple of weeks after, they'd been carrying on. I had a little titter each time I saw Mr. Whipster trundle up the road. I thought to myself, now he's offering more than a little soft scoop.
Mother.
Oh, stop it. It's making me laugh just remembering. Well, the next day, after I'd seen him, I saw Mrs. Hilderson. Oh, you know she was a widow. And my jaw dropped. She had a shiner, the blackest black eye I'd seen in many a year. I asked her what had happened, and she brushed it off and said she'd opened the back door too quickly and it had caught her unawares. But for some reason, I didn't believe her. So again, 2 days later, I waited for the ice cream van, crept through the garden, and made my way to her shed. Only this time, I looked in, and do you know what I saw?
Well, the mind boggles.
But it wasn't that. He were hitting her, getting all rough, giving her such a walloping. I didn't know what to do. I had to put my hand over my mouth to stop him from hearing me gasp. I looked again, and she wasn't enjoying herself. I mean, I'm all for a bit of slap and tickle, but this was really rough. So I saw her the next day and asked if she were okay, but she didn't half look pale. She said she were fine, so I thought, best leave it at that. But you know what? I couldn't. What I'd seen just kept on repeating over and over in my head. And I remember when I thought I had to do something about it. I sat bolt upright in bed, almost frightened the life out of your father, but I told him to go back to sleep, and he did. He was a good lad, your dad.
So? What happened?
I followed Mr. Whipster the next day. Now, your dad and me, we had a bit of money saved, and we'd bought a car. A Hillman Minx bottle green. Oh, it was a lovely car, so comfy. And of course we had the caravan at Mablethorpe, so once we had the car, we didn't need to keep on getting the train. It'd make the weekends away much easier. So, now, I was one of the only women on our street who'd learned to drive. People thought me bold, but then that's in my nature. And with your dad's help, I managed to get through my test first time. The instructor were a bit surprised, what with my handling of the vehicle. Bit chauvinistic, if you ask me, but I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Just thought he was set in his ways a bit like so. So anyway, I followed Mr. Whipster back to the depot and watched. I did this for a week or so, just so I could get to know his routine. And on the Friday, which was always his late shift, I knew that when he parked up, he was the only one there. He did the locking up, so he trundled into the yard and busied himself with his packing up. They had 4 vans in total. I parked round the back and snuck in through a hole in the fence, which I'd noticed on the Tuesday of that week, and crept round so I could see where he was. I could see him emptying his van, giving it a bit of a wipe down. At least he did that, I thought. But then I saw the state of the rack he was using, and I realised I was being too kind. He was a dirty bugger.
Mum, your language.
He was around the back of the van doing whatever it was he was doing. I'd brought the jack handle from the car. I must have startled him because he jumped up and swung round when he heard me. But before he knew anything, I clunked him on the forehead with the jack. He went down like a lead balloon. The blood went everywhere. I hadn't realised until that point how much blood can come out when you hit your head.
Well, yeah.
Well, he was still murmuring, so I knew he wasn't dead. Now, I'd come prepared, so I was wearing my gardening gloves, and I'd brought some industrial-strength parcel tape with me. I'd popped down to Brainard's, the ironmonger's, the day previous. I bought the toughest I could get. Told them it were for the pipes. The chap there said it wouldn't do for lagging, but I said to him not to worry. I knew what I needed to do, so I pulled him up to the van. It was a bit of a dead weight, but I managed, to the exhaust, and I opened his mouth. He was really groggy, so he didn't know what was going on, and I pushed his open mouth over the end of the exhaust. I taped his head to the exhaust, used the whole roll. I thought, you're not going to be able to free yourself from that, you little sod. And then I popped into the van, turned on the engine, and then I walked back to him. He were coming round, But that parcel tape, they were right, it was strong. Well, he just couldn't get free. But just in case, I grabbed his hair and held his head so he couldn't move. It took a good 10 minutes for him to choke on those fumes before, he stopped struggling. His body jolted a couple of times, but then that were it. Gone. Well, I scruffed the ground a bit to make sure they would have a bit of a job figuring out the size of the footprints, in the dirt, and then I left the engine running, and, well, that were that.
And what about the police, the investigation?
Well, they came around and questioned folks on the ice cream route. I was putting out the washing when they came to Tilbury Rise. Nice chap, the policeman, a bit clueless. They asked some questions, but I just told them that Mr. Whipster hadn't been around for a few days, which was a bit surprising, especially as it were warm and he'd be doing a grand trade with his lollies. But I didn't know anything else. I did read in the Evening Post that investigators were looking into the fact that it could be a local turf war, between the ice cream vans. But it went as quiet as a dodo, so to speak.
This was an FCOL Entertainment Clockwork Digital Studios original production, a part of the On Another Wavelength audio anthology series. Featuring the voice talents of Maggie Turner and Samantha Boffin. Written, directed and produced by Simon James Collier. Series created and co-produced by Adam Deschanel. Soundscape design, Zachary Elliott Hatton. Engineer, Callum Mirames. Recorded at Umbrella Sound.
EVCOL.
The Defendant.
My lord, my counsel has said all that could be said. I shall never forget his kind, civil and generous words, both here today and when we met yesterday. And I thank him from the bottom of my heart. He truly is a man of dignity and standing, whose morals and sense of human kindness should be an example to many here. His parents should be so proud of him. And I know his sense of right and wrong will serve him well as an advocate of note. He was right. I was not naturally bad. A coward broke my life and made me what I have become. I had wronged him, I admit, but I was very, very sorry, and I hated myself for my fault. I begged his pardon. I begged for it, on my knees, and he told me to go. He threw me out onto the streets. Me, his wife, the mother of his child. Thanks to him, I rolled in the gutter. Thanks to him, I have suffered 1,000 deaths, and I have killed. I hate him. And yet I do not complain, no, I do not complain. I have a son. A son whom I love. Whom I love more than I can say. A son who deserves to hold on to the memory of a mother. A kind memory. A memory I can go to my grave holding so dear to my chest rather than him see what I have become. But my boy, he does not know me. The sound of my voice, thank God, can awaken no echo in his heart. He will never see me again. Know nothing of my shame, and his memory of me will be vague and sweet and beautiful. For when I became lost to him, he was a child. He is so far from me now. For my dear advocate, a man who has done nothing other than show me compassion and love. Yes, love of a kind, which probably he himself cannot place. My wish for him is that he embraces and enjoys his life, to open his heart to his love, and for him to journey his life without being afraid of showing his feelings. For what else do we as people truly have? As for my son, my beautiful son, oh, I wish I could have truly held his hand and him know me at this moment. What I have is a life of regret. But all that is now extinguished. My boy, I worship you. All my heart is yours. My one wish is that you should be happy.
This was an Evcol Entertainment production, a part of the Masquerade series of monologues, featuring the voice talent of Samantha Boffin, inspired by Alexandra Bisson, written, directed and produced by Simon James Collier. Soundscape design by Archie Lyon Maris.